We've got intermittent showers and thunderstorms coming to West Texas through early Wednesday morning. I'll have the where, when, and how much during my full forecast. We still have this much larger line of storms that started to develop. It's going as far as getting into Coleman and Brownwood, all the way down past Ozona to the pure bottom of Crockett County. You can see they've got a lot of hail down here through most of the county. A lot of these strong storms have a very similar situation. Moving east around 50 miles per hour, we're looking at wind gusts up to 55 miles per hour, and hail I'm seeing so far getting up to about a half inch in size. We've had a lot of large hail pretty much as long as we've been seeing these storms. We got our first report of large hail that came out in Erie County near Sherwood, where that came out to be 2.75 inches. That is near baseball size hail. Well, depending on how you want to look at it, we're kind of on the up, right? We just got past all the severe weather that we just had. We're now warming up. We had the cold front come through. Kept yesterday pretty cool, but today was the first day we actually got hot, got into the 90s for just about everybody, and we're going to stay that way as we get into next week as well. Critical fire risk as we get into today. You see just about our entire region, even up to Knox County, is going to be within that critical risk polygon. It's going to be very dangerous for those fire conditions. So let's break down what exactly is going on. It's around 75 degrees right now, so it might heat up a little bit more because sunset's not even until 8:06 p.m. We've got winds pretty calm, less than 15 miles per hour. It's going to be very comfortable as we continue through the night, but this is going to be the coldest rodeo night that we have of this whole weekend. You can generally see that rotation in the middle of New Mexico. We've got this area right here as we're going around Roswell, and that's what's bringing in these rain showers and these thunderstorms as we continue. So they're coming in from our southwest, making their way northeast. The big country especially getting a lot of that action. As we get to the weekend, we're going to see much nicer conditions because we got this big old high pressure ridge right here. And the thing we like about high pressure is that high pressure hates bad weather. So we're going to have that high pressure keep us nice and sunny as we get through our weekend. But once we hit Sunday, there's going to be another player that enters the game, and that's this low pressure system all the way out here in the southwest. It's extremely hot, 93 degrees right now. I see a lot of people walking around with water bottles, which is great news. You've got to stay hydrated in heat like this. We've got some partly cloudy skies. We've got good energy, so not too much shade around, but there are a couple tents when you're stopping from 1 to 1. We're going to have an over 12-hour day. You see sunset's going to be right up on 8 o'clock. Which 6 weeks does sound like a long time, but here's something fun you probably didn't realize. We're already 6 weeks into the new year, so that is just going to fly by. Spring is almost here, but as well, because you have to think, when we have hail, it happens because we have these hail pieces that are rotating in and out of these storms until they're too heavy to fall out, and that rotation center is going to be in the middle of where these thunderstorms are going to be. So where we're seeing the heaviest action is where we're also going to be seeing that hail as well. And depending on where that dry line is going to lie, it's going to affect how much rain we'll see, whether we'll get a decent amount of showers or thunderstorms, or things decide to push their way further east. So that is something that I'm going to be monitoring as we continue over these next couple of days. But we had some cloud cover stayed down here in the Concho Valley, which helped keep us cooler during the daytime, and the big country got a little bit hotter, but we're going to see the opposite effect once it comes to the nighttime, because that same lack of cloud cover is going to force the big country to get a lot cooler down into those lower 40s, whereas here in the Concho Valley, you see a couple places right there at 50 on the mark, 53 degrees down here in Mason. We have this drier air here on the backside of this dry line, and these are the counties that had that red flag warning that just ended around 9 p.m. And over here we have the moister area that has the opportunity to interact with some of those storms. If anything does happen, it's going to be somewhat unremarkable. But any surface that's in the sun's view is going to really heat up as well, especially something as conductive as asphalt. You see at 100 degrees, that can get up to 160. On concrete, that can get up to 175. So you really want to look for something grassy or something in the shade. If you yourself are going to go outside, or you want to take the kids or your pet out, you want to make something that's going to keep their hands or their paws safe from that hot ground. Starting you off with these current temperatures just to show you how dramatic this cold front is already. You can see down here in this yellow, we've got Ozona at 70 degrees, but on the flip side, Albany and Snyder already in the 30s, right at 39 degrees. It is going to be very chilly, and believe it or not, it's only going to get colder. Low's going to be in the 20s for just about everybody, a few people even the teens. You see Anson, Roby, and Snyder right there at 19 degrees, about 26 here in San Angelo, and 21 up here in Abilene, and we'll also be seeing precipitation as soon as midnight. It's going to be that wintry mix of freezing rain, of a little bit of sleet as well, and also rain, particularly for those of you that are going to be in the Concho Valley where it's a little bit warmer. Now, as we get through these next couple of days, we're going to see some very cold air, and that's just because this cold front came a lot sooner than we expected. You can already see that right now it's past most of West Texas, and afterwards, just this cold air is going to continue to sink into the area. When you're waking up on Wednesday morning, it is going to be freezing cold, and it's going to stay that way for actually quite a while. This is going to turn into a stationary front, so we're going to have some warmer air coming in as the system slowly makes its way out, but it's going to be a very, very slow warm up once we get past these next couple of days. So what are we going to be seeing? Mainly just ice and rain. We're not going to be seeing any snow this time. So it's going to start out as a lot of freezing rain, and we get into Wednesday, we'll see that freezing drizzle as well. Our main threats are going to be the accumulation of just a glaze on the ground to 2/10 of an inch. And because of that, we'll have some very slippery roads, because for a lot of places, whatever rain falls on the ground, we're going to have a below freezing ground, and that is going to be freezing overnight. But you can see, looking at Wednesday, just where you're going to be seeing that wintry mix or that rain, because you can watch temperatures are going to be below freezing. So from about Brady and further north, that's everyone that's going to be seeing that freezing rain and that freezing drizzle that's going to be lasting through Wednesday. The rest of you down here in the Southern Concho Valley, you mainly are going to be seeing rain. Welcome back, West Texas. I'm here now with that full forecast. Current temperatures are still pretty warm outside, in the 80s as of right now. 82 degrees here in San Angelo, a little bit warmer up here in the Big Country, 85 degrees up here in Abilene. There are a couple places that have since dropped into the 70s already. We got 78 degrees here in Brownwood and Overliable, 76 degrees over here in Eastland. But it's a pretty clear night, so as we continue on, temperatures are going to continue to drop. However, they'll be above average this, or not above average, they'll be right at average this time, whereas last night we were below average in the 50s. So in the 60s for just about everybody. Nobody is below 60 degrees exactly. We got Baird and Albany right here hitting that mark on the head, but 64 degrees for that low here in San Angelo, 62 up here in Abilene. But as we look over these next couple of days, we've got high pressure that's going to start to take over our weather pattern, and that's what's going to bring back the heat as we get into this weekend. So this is the low pressure system that's moving its way towards the east with all those severe weather that we were seeing. This high pressure ridge is going to slowly work its way through, sitting over top of us as we get through most of this weekend. And it's actually going to take a while before it actually decides to kind of leave the mix. We have this low pressure system that's going to start to approach in the earlier days of next week. And it's looking like it might have a cold front attached to it, but it's also looking to be pretty weak. And this high pressure over here does not really want to let go of control. So we won't see a huge temperature difference. Now, these are the 5 days that are going to stay hot, and you're seeing a lot of repetitive numbers. 99 on Friday, Monday, and Tuesday, 100 degrees on Saturday and Sunday. We're really going to be teetering along this 99 degree, 100 degree border. And part of that reason is because of the severe weather that we saw recently. We have a lot more moisture both in our soil and in our atmosphere. And so that is going to lead to higher humidity that we're going to see through this weekend. It's a bit unfortunate because, you know, my favorite part about moving in town, at least one of them, has been the dry heat, but doesn't really seem like that's what we're going to get as we get into this weekend. But on the bright side, that's also what is keeping our temperatures just a little bit lower as well. Water is resistant to temperature changes, especially heating up. So all that extra moisture is going to help keep our temperatures possibly right along that line, or maybe a little bit below 100 degrees. But moving on, we are going to see some very strong winds as we get into the weekend as well. Really, the beginning of next week, as we start to see that low pressure system start to fight the high pressure, and we're going to see winds possibly get up to 35 miles per hour as we get into the beginning of next week. Now, we may see some relief from some of these warm temperatures. I told you that cold front will be coming through. It's showing to be pretty weak, so it won't really drop our temperatures too much, and we're still seeing that we're most likely going to be above average as we get into the beginning of June, but it's shown we've got a light chance of being above average on precipitation. So hopefully that cold front actually does come through for us as we get into next week. But in the meantime, just prepare for the heat. We're going to be jumping back into the 100s possibly, and possibly staying into those 90s as we get into next week. You can see around Tuesday or Wednesday, temperatures drop down to the mid to lower 90s. That is the possibility of that cold front.